Hello there and welcome to the BSR Sports Podcast from the fans, for the fans. My name's Blair McNally.
I'm Blair Murphy.
And I'm Robbie Hanratty.
And we are welcoming you to join us on our preview of the Euro 2021 tournament. Boys, are you excited? Bonnie, Scotland, finally a major tournament at last.
Buzzing for it, mate. Can't wait.
So, we have got 6 group stages to look into in depth. We have got numerous teams who look to be favourites. I don't think there is one team you can count on to say they're out and out favourites this year. It's going to be an excellent tournament. We have got cities all over Europe hosting instead of having 1 or 2 countries hosting. Totally different this year with the COVID pandemic going on as well. Liam, it's a weird one, isn't it?
It is a weird one, yeah, but you can never go wrong in an international tournament. It's always a great feeling, once you watch one game, the next day there's going to be another 2 on, and the next day another 2 on, you can't beat it.
Robbie, are you looking forward to this one? It's obviously going to be the biggest event of the summer, if not 2021, the Euro 2021 final. Starting off with Group A, we have Turkey, we have Italy, we have Wales, and we have Switzerland. Very interesting group. Obviously, going into that one, I would personally say Italy would be favourites. Then you have got Wales, Switzerland, and Turkey, who I would say are all around the same level. Would you agree with me, Robbie?
Yeah, I've put Italy as favourites as well. Obviously, they've won a World Cup in my lifetime, and I think they've got some strong players, strong younger players coming through. But yeah, I agree with Switzerland, Turkey, and Wales. Very close teams together. And you look at Wales; they got to the last 16 of the last Euros and went on a really good run. So I've put them to finish bottom of the group. No disrespect to Wales, but they also have got some great players like Gareth Bale and Ramsey and all that. But I've put Switzerland for second.
Liam, what about you? What have you went for Group A and why?
I'm the same. Italy is first, Switzerland is second, but I've actually gone with Wales as third. But I don't see them going through as like one of the best third place teams, unfortunately, because there's so many great opposition around them. But it's going to be a tough one because Turkey are a relatively underrated side. Like they actually have got a good base to their team. It's a very interesting group. Like first place almost seems certain with Italy. Like Italy are that old-fashioned team. Everyone's talking about France, Belgium, England are probably going to win it. Never rule out Italy. Italy will always be there or thereabouts around the quarters or semi-finals, and they'll always be there to cause not an upset because they should be seen as one of the favourites personally. And it will be interesting, but I've gone with Switzerland second.
So for my Group A, I've actually went with Turkey first. I know I've said Italy are favourites, but I think there's always, you come into these group stages, there's always a turnaround on predictions. There's always a shock somewhere or another. I think, as you just said, Turkey are a very underrated country. Many stars who are shining through the limelight at the moment, coming through in even the top leagues. I think Turkish football as a whole is actually on the rise, rather than just having Galatasaray, Fenerbahce, etc. shining. You've got the likes of Istanbul, Başakşehir, Trabzonspor as well coming through. So you've got a very, very competitive league, and with a competitive league, as we've seen in Scotland this year, comes a competitive country who fight for each other, and you can see it from the recent results in the international stage. Second, I've gone with Italy. I think Italy, yet again, a team full of stars. Italy are always going to be one of the biggest countries in the world. Winning the World Cup in 2006, even though they did get knocked out in 2010, I think they're back on the rise again. We see Inter Milan winning the league this year, the drop of Juventus, and then obviously you've got the transition of players around Syria, Napoli changing the thing, changing up again, Lazio changing up again, and the rise of Milan. Very interesting as well. For third place, I went with Switzerland, but I feel Switzerland will get enough to go through as one of the best third place teams. Switzerland always linger about just below the top, don't you feel? They're never really at the top, but with the stars that they do have, they kind of linger about underneath. And then for last place, I just feel Wales don't have enough firepower in their team. I think a couple of years ago, we did see it in the Euros, but they've not got too many stars in their team to overcome the other teams in this group. I think this group is too strong for Wales to do any real damage in.
Yeah.
So
I'd have to agree, Blair, especially with Wales. That's why I put them bottom. Yeah, I watched them against France and it was unlucky got Williams sent off early on, but I do feel that they just haven't got enough experience in that squad. There's a lot of young players that haven't really even came through at the club level yet. So I think they won't be able to follow the same feat as they did in 2016.
Yeah. For Group B, we have Denmark, Finland, Belgium, and Russia. A very interesting group again. We have got a mix of high-end teams and what we could say is the lower-end teams, but I don't think there's any quality missing. As we've seen recently, Finland actually won their group to qualify for this. Russia done very well when they hosted the World Cup only a couple of years ago. Denmark, they have always been really at the top. I think they were in the top group to qualify for this, were they not? The second top group. And then you've obviously got Belgium, who are one of the favourites to win this. Robbie, who would you go with? What is your predictions for Group B?
So I've went Belgium to win the group, and I think they'll be up there with. It's the last chance for some of these players who we've been speaking about for so long. Well, Kevin De Bruyne didn't win the Champions League with Man City. Obviously had a great season. They've got players like him. Romelu Lukaku's had some season at Inter Milan, won the title, scored so many goals. I think Belgium have just got quality players throughout the team. I think they'll win the group. But as I say, Denmark, not just because they have smart football strips, but they also seem to do well at major tournaments or compete well. So I think Denmark will finish second. And Russia, they've got some good players. I don't watch Russian football. I see a lot of Russian players on a regular basis. But when I do see them at a major tournament, they do look like a team that you don't really want to play against. They can be hard to play against. So I think Russia will finish third. I don't think they'll get through as a best placed team, but I think they'll finish third. And then Finland, they're a bit of an unknown quantity to me anyway, but I put them bottom. But as Liam says, in every tournament, or you said as well, every tournament there's teams that can spark a surprise and be a dark horse. So Finland might prove me wrong.
Yeah. Liam, what about you?
The same. Belgium first, Denmark second, Russia third, but I'm having Russia as one of my 4 teams to progress. I put Belgium first. Everyone talks about Belgium as like one of the I understand why people say Belgium are one of the favourites to win it, but I always feel Belgium fail to. They almost flatter to deceive at times because they always seem whenever there's a challenge put in front of them. Like obviously they were unlucky in the last World Cup. They got knocked out by France, but in the last Euros they got knocked out by Wales. But that was almost their tournament for the taking. Like if they beat Wales in the quarterfinal, then faced Portugal in the semis, for example, I would have fancied them to have gone on and win Euro 2016. But Belgium have got some unbelievable players like De Bruyne, even on his day, Eden Hazard and Thibaut Courtois, Lukaku, who, talking about Lukaku, I've actually got him down as my top goal scorer for the tournament. He scores his one job is just to score goals and that's it. Obviously, he's a good passer of the ball as well, but his main aim when he's playing football, much like Erling Haaland for Dortmund, is to just score goals. And I feel like with
he was on fire this season at Inter, wasn't he?
Absolutely, yeah. Obviously, winning
with his form this season. With his form this season, you've seen another level come to the front line of Inter Milan, something that have been missing for many years. You had Icardi who was on fire, but don't think Icardi could bring the level of physical presence that Inter have needed. And Lukaku was everything that they have needed, and that's why they have went and won the Scudetto this year, isn't it?
Absolutely. And with De Bruyne now creating chances for him. I just feel like he's going to gobble up a lot of chances, and I could see a demolition job towards them against Finland, especially if those. It's also a question whether De Bruyne is going to be fit. I mean, I know it's a facial injury, and he'll probably just end up wearing a big, massive mask. But you never know. Like that could affect how he plays. But yeah, Belgium first. Denmark.
It's a broken eye socket, and his nose he's broke his cheekbone. To round off Group B, then I have went for something interesting. I think many people will say I have went with Belgium to finish first. I think we can all agree Belgium will finish first. They are just a powerhouse that are a level above anybody in that group. I think they will storm the group with no problems caused. Roberto Martinez, Sean Maloney, we know the tactical masterclasses they are. As you've just mentioned, you've got the likes of Lukaku, you've got the likes of De Bruyne, you've got the likes of Tielemans, who has been on fire for Leicester this season. I don't think we can rule out just a level above in terms of quality. For second place, I've actually went with the group winners of their qualifying stage, Finland. I think Teemu Pukki, if he is on form, can cause major problems. I think Finland is a team. They don't play as individuals. They play as a squad and a team, and they all know each other too well to have any problems. I think watching them, they fight for each other, and it's something that many teams lack. There's a lot of teams who have as many superstars as they want, and we've seen it for Scotland for years. They don't know each other inside out, and that does cause problems. Whereas Finland, that's the reason why they did cause upsets, and they did win their group for qualifying, because they did fight for each other, and it was a squad attempt, it was a team attempt rather than individuals, relying on individuals. So I've put them down for second place. I think they will do well. I think Finland will be a dark horse. Third place, I have went for Russia, but I don't think they will do enough to go through. I think we've seen glimpses in the 2018 World Cup. Just the level of confidence they had, but that was in front of their own fans. Away from their own fans, we've seen Russia playing against Scotland. They just rely on Dzyuba up front, and that is just a physical presence. They've not really got much more of an outball, which does worry me, so I don't think they will go through. In fourth place, I've actually went with Denmark. I think Denmark are on a downward spiral. I think we've seen the best of Denmark in recent years, and the quality is lacking at stages. I just don't feel it's there with Denmark, so I think they will finish in fourth place. Would you disagree with me on anything?
I probably would with the Finland and Denmark scenario, because Denmark of recent times have caused a few upsets before. Like, they beat England not too long ago. We have to remember as well. But Finland finishing second is a bit of a surprise for me, because I feel like we'll go into other nations at some point, but I feel like they're just one of the nations almost to just make up the numbers. You know, I don't feel like they're going to cause any problems for the likes of Belgium or even Russia. Like you mentioned, Russia, we saw glimpses of them in 2018. Like getting to the quarterfinals as Russia, they were like mere penalties. They were penalties away from getting to a semi-final. Like, you can never rule out a nation like Russia as well. Like, I think it's quite mental. You got Finland finishing second.
Yeah, I agree with you, Liam, but I also do see the fact that, remember, Iceland went up. No one expected that. Iceland's got a population of the size of Glasgow and Strathclyde as a country, and they went on a run in the last Euros, if I remember correctly, and beat England and all that. So you just never know. A team like Finland could do the same. I can't see it, but I wouldn't rule out a crazy suggestion of Blair for them to finish second.
Excellent. Robbie, I was just about to say to you, I don't know if you've seen the Partick Thistle away kit that was released today, but your Germany top looks very much like it.
Really?
It's,
are you going to purchase it then?
Oh, it's an excellent kit. Oh, definitely. I'm not really a fan of German football, but for Partick Thistle, I think I definitely will purchase it. It's very similar indeed. I'll put a photo of it up here. you'll be able to see it. So on to the next group. We have Group C. I think it's one of the most straightforward groups out of them all. Would you agree with me?
Yeah.
You think?
Take that one away, Liam. We have got Holland, Ukraine, Austria, and North Macedonia. North Macedonia, remember, qualified through the playoffs, the same as Scotland did, in dramatic fashion.
Absolutely, yeah. For my prediction, anyway, I'll start off. I've got Holland finishing first. I think, see if it wasn't for a certain Van Dijk missing this tournament, I probably would have had them actually winning the tournament, to be perfectly honest, because they've got such a solid foundation. But people need to understand this is how key Van Dijk is to both nation and club. He just brings that sort of aura to a team almost. And without Van Dijk and their main captain, I think they're gonna get knocked out either around the 16 or the quarterfinals. But and obviously they drew to Scotland. I mean, how embarrassing is that, drawing to Scotland?
They didn't. Apparently, well, I was actually training and watching the highlights when I came back. They didn't, from what I've seen, they didn't deserve to get that. Apparently, Depay dived, did they not, to get the free kick in the last minute?
It was very soft, mate. Yeah, the referee must have had a deal with Depay to get his top or something, because it was typical Scotland though. But yeah, the Netherlands didn't really play that well at all. They made 2 subs in the half-hour mark, and maybe we're trying to take it lightly with the Euros in mind, but they didn't look like a team that I thought I'd be feeding. And you say Scotland, but Scotland, I feel, play better against the big teams. We've had some iconic results at major tournaments, so in qualification against France, Italy, England. I feel like we do well against those sort of teams, but it's teams like the poorer teams like Georgia or something I'd worry about.
Kazakhstan.
Yeah, exactly. Hopefully that's changed for us though.
It is a worrying sign for Scotland to be all over the Netherlands last night, like it was for Dutch fans, because Scotland aren't usually the team that are all over like the other teams. Scotland are usually the team that sit back and maybe control the tempo of the game, but they don't hold the possession. And for Scotland to dominate a game as much as they did last night, it's not the best of sign getting into a major tournament.
I feel Scotland yesterday, they just got the press right. They had more shots than the Netherlands, if I'm right in saying. They maybe didn't always have the ball, but when they did, they used it well, and they pressed high up the pitch. And I think with the personnel that was playing, like Stuart Armstrong, Ryan Christie, Lyndon Dykes, they all players that will put in a really good shift and press the defenders, and didn't give like the Dutch players any really time on the ball. And I think that going into the Euros is something Scotland players will have to do, because players with expectation on their shoulders might make a mistake. If you close them down, you just never know. You can capitalise on it, and that's what Scotland done with Jack Hendry chance or goal.
Let's talk about Holland. We'll go on to Scotland in a bit. Let's talk about Holland from a Dutch perspective. Having that tempo, and Scottish, we can all agree Scotland aren't the fastest of teams and aren't really a high pressure team. So to have that tempo, to be up against that tempo and struggle against it, it's not a good sign when you've got teams like Austria. You've got obviously North Macedonia, who we'll go on to in a wee bit. They fight they're another team that fight as a team. They all work for each other, and then Ukraine as well. So I think Scotland are around the same level as them, but to not be able to deal with the tempo of the game against Scotland, who aren't one of the biggest teams, we're only starting to come into things. It's not a good sign, is it?
No.
Nah,
absolutely not.
Nah, not really at all. But looking at, I'll give my predictions for this group then. I've got the Netherlands, obviously, to win it. Austria, watched bits of the game against England, and obviously England only beat them 1-0. Yeah, England didn't have the full team, but England had plenty of quality players on that side. So I think Austria have got players that I think can cause problems, and they're a team that could easily get to the last 16 as well. So they're definitely second. Ukraine, they're another team I don't know too much about, but a team that I feel I won't write off in terms of as a third place team who could go through. And then North Macedonia, we speak about, yeah, they won in dramatic fashion, but I feel like before you would never be seeing them at the Euros at all. So I think they must be improving. Yeah, they got through the Nations League. They was in the bottom group, but you just never know. A good team spirit, win the first game, and you just never know what could happen.
Liam, what have you put down for Group C of the Euro 2021 campaign?
I've gone with Austria second as well, and I've gone with Ukraine third and Macedonia fourth. Hoping for North Macedonia to do well. One of the teams I've got in my sweepstake, but I don't have too much hope for them. I've also got Ukraine, to be fair, but I feel like Ukraine will struggle to get out in as third place because, again, we mentioned the quality of opposition in the other groups as well. Austria finishing second, I feel like, is a bit self-explanatory. Ukraine are okay. I feel like that Austria-Ukraine game could be an interesting one to see who gets second place in the group. But we've talked about them already. But this group is going to be too easy for Holland. If they don't go through in this group, then it's just feel embarrassed, really.
Yeah, I have went with Holland to finish first. I think we can all agree on that. I think last night was a learning curve. They have got the quality of Depay, Delit, De Jong. I was getting myself mixed up there. To name a few, obviously Dumfries didn't have the best of games last night, but we all know the quality he has. I think he'll get his act together. They just need to get the tactics sorted out, and they'll be okay. They'll storm that group. For second place, I've actually gone with a shock. I think a shock is going to be on the cards. I've went with North Macedonia. And
Finland and North Macedonia to get through, that'd be some tournament.
Think about it, in these major groups, it always happens. There's always a massive shock happens. We've seen last time Germany get knocked out in extra time. It was just, there's always a crazy shock on the cards, and I think Macedonia have got that in them, to be honest with you.
I love Liam's face here.
With big Pandev up front, I think Pandev is just going to run an absolute mock in that group. Don't count them out, Liam. Don't count them out. That's all I'll say. I've went for Ukraine third. I think there's something that just says to me Austria aren't going to turn up for this tournament. I feel Sabitzer is relied on too much in the middle of the Austrian pitch. And we've seen it twice against Scotland. He's not able to live up to that pressure, and he's not been at his greatest this season, has he, Sabitzer? And with that pressure of dealing with it, used to be Arnautovic, but he's not really at the forefront anymore of football, is he? Austria just don't have it.
He's in China, is he?
Yeah, he's in China now, but Austria just don't have it for me. I don't think there's enough of an outball. The only reason they scored against Scotland was because of a mistake. Even though they can hold the ball well, they've not got much of a threat up front. Ukraine, I think they're another team that work for each other, and they always seem to grind out results. They always do seem to grind out results, and they have got some decent players in their ranks. So I look forward to that group. It will be an interesting one, but do not count out North Macedonia. I'm telling you that right now, because what we've seen, the fighting spirit we've seen in that playoff, to score 2 goals in the last 5 minutes to go through, that was remarkable. And it just gives you so much confidence. And I hope it does give them confidence coming into this. I think Holland will hand them out an absolute scalping, but compared to the other 2 teams, I think they'll be okay. On to the best group of the group stages. I think we can all agree that Bonnie Scotland will be winning this one. Do you agree, boys?
I'd love to agree. I think I've changed this prediction about 5 times. My head and my heart keeps on changing, but hopefully Scotland do.
Yeah, I think we can be realistic here. We have got England, we have got Scotland, we have got Croatia and the Czech Republic in Group D. So, first of all, we'll start on England. Trent Alexander-Arnold ruled out, massive blow. Would you say, Liam? Do you think he would have been a starter?
For England, I don't think it is a massive blow. They've got much too much depth in that department. They've got Reece James, who's a Champions League winner. They've got Kieran Trippier, who just won La Liga. They've got, I think Kyle Walker will probably be a centre back, but they've also got him, who's a Premier League winner and a Champions League finalist. So losing Trent for England's sake is probably not the worst thing in the world. I still think he is England's best right back. There will be discussions of that, of course, but you can't deny the quality that he has got. But I think for England's sake, they're not going to miss him too much. They've got plenty of depth in that department. I think it would have been more of a worry if they lost someone like a Harry Kane or like John Stones at this point could be a massive blow for them, because it's still up in the air whether Harry Maguire is going to be fit for the tournament or not. But for England's sake, they're going to. I feel like if England don't win this group, then how on earth are they going to feel like they're going to win the tournament? Because they should be coasting past Czech Republic. They probably should be coasting past Scotland as well. Let's be honest with ourselves. And Croatia are not the team that they once were. 3 years ago after the World Cup. So I think this is going to be an easy one for England.
I disagree completely. I just think England's squad just lacks complete inexperience. I don't see where the English media seem to think, oh, yeah, it's coming home, we can do this, we'll do that, check the Scotland team and all the big names, like with a sarcastic look, because the English team, look at goalkeepers, for example, none of that goalkeepers have played really at a major tournament or been really too reliable. And then there's a lot of young players. Yeah, there's a lot of talent. Phil Foden, Mason Mount. We spoke all season on the podcast about them, but can they do it at the highest stage of all? I really think people will underestimate Scotland, and it's not just saying it as a Scottish fan, but we look at the players Scotland have. Got Champions League winner in Billy Gilmour right now. We've got guys like John
That's ripping
McGinn.
That's ripping the absolute arse with it. Billy Gilmour, he's played 25 minutes in the Champions League this season.
Yeah, but I honestly think Scotland, we've seen it before against England. We raise a game for the old enemy. I think England need to not get ahead of themselves. I think in Croatia, you speak about them not being the same team as old, obviously lost in the final, was it, to France in the World Cup? But you think about Croatia always produce good players, and for a relatively small nation, they still have got players there who can cause teams problems. And if England's only beating Austria 1-0, the media, as soon as the media get on England's team's back, they'll crumble. And that's what I feel might happen once again. Or well, I hope so anyway, from a Scotland point of view.
Yeah.
Can I just say something quickly? I do agree with you, Robbie. Once the pressure's on England, they will crumble. But I was, with my point, I was kind of just basing off the fact that what they should do, and England should, let's be real, probably should be beating Czech Republic and Scotland. But we all know how big England-Scotland is, not just like in European football, but world football. It's like one of the biggest international games out there. And Scotland will just relish that chance of playing at Wembley. And just imagine if we scored like a last-minute winner, someone like an Andy Robertson or something like that, just pull an absolute pile drive in the 90th minute to potentially send us through to the round of 16. But I do agree with you. There is a lot of inexperience in that England side, but sometimes that could also benefit a side because they'll just play without fear almost, because like they feel at such a young age they'll feel like that they'll have so many more opportunities ahead of them that you might just play to enjoy yourselves. And yeah, I do agree with you. I think like once the challenge is going to come up against England, whether that be Scotland or Croatia, or whether if they get to round the 16 and they play one of Portugal, France or Germany, they will crumble, I think.
The question I'd like to set for you is, who starts at right back for England?
James. I'm saying Reece James.
Robbie?
It's a tough one because you've got Reece James, Champions League winner, been really good this season, or especially the second half of the season. But then Kieran Trippier has just won the La Liga with Atletico Madrid as well. So, and then you've got Kyle Walker, who's won the league with Man City. So it's a good selection headache to have. And as we say, Trent Alexander-Arnold, he wasn't even in the March squad.
Not too bad, is
England.
it?
So
I think what you might find is that, well, it all depends on whether Maguire's fit or not, because if Maguire's not fit, I could maybe see England move to a 5 at the back. Walker right now is probably a very recognised centre-back as well. He's played there a good chunk of his career now. And if Kieran Trippier, not Kieran Trippier, if Harry Maguire's not going to be playing for England, then I could see them playing a 5 at the back, almost like I don't know who play left wing back, but you've got probably John Stones, Kyle Walker. Then you might even see Reece James move to a centre back role. He's played there at youth level, and he's played there a good chunk for Chelsea, I think, as well. And then you'll probably see Kieran Trippier moved at right wing back, because Trippier, you have to remember, he's like deadly from set pieces almost. He's one of their only set piece takers, because they're not, as it stands, it could change because Trent's pulled out now, but he's like their only set piece taker, really.
Yeah. I just feel England have got too much firepower. Harry Kane's got something to prove this summer. Whether he does stay at Tottenham and Conte comes, there's rumours that Conte will only come if Harry Kane stays, or if he wants to move away to the likes of Man United, Man City. He's going to have something to prove either way. Jesse Lingard, he's got something to prove as well.
He's not going to the tournament, mate. He's not in the squad.
He's not in the squad, mate.
Jesse Lingard's not in the squad. Oh, Jesus.
I think you need to get this as the opening.
How's you done
The
that?
shock of it.
Is he not in?
No, he's not in the
been
squad.
mate.
No, he's not
been
in
the squad, mate. He didn't make it. Neither did Greenwood, or he pulled out. Look at this shock.
Funny, mate.
What? I'm sure I seen Jesse Lingard's name on that team sheet.
He was playing in the friendly last night, but the players who weren't called up can't still play in the friendlies.
Yeah, he's not in the Euro squad.
Can't believe it. Anyway, I was going to talk about Jesse Lingard's form and how he could bring a new dimension to England, but that's a shocker.
So you talk about form in number 10s, then you might as well want to talk about Mason Mount.
I was just about to say Mason Mount. Champions League winner, obviously. He's taking the limelight, getting into the Champions League from a young Derby boy wanting to prove himself under Lampard to the player that he's become for Chelsea. It's remarkable. It's truly remarkable, and he's become one of Chelsea's main players. And for years to come, he will be probably Chelsea's main player in the middle of the park. From an England perspective, it's a hard one because there is a midfield selection headache. Obviously, with Lingard getting left out, there is a massive selection headache because just like right back, there's a lot of midfielders who deserve to be in there and they will be fighting for their place. It's whether or not Southgate plays with the wings or he plays it through the middle. That's what it depends on for me, because you've obviously got the likes of Jadon Sancho, you've got the likes of Jack Grealish as well. Jack Grealish is he in the squad?
He is in the squad. He is.
He's in the squad. I know he was in the provisional, but I don't know if he's in the squad for the Euros. But it's all dependent on that. And if England can play to their potential, they will storm this. They'll storm this group. But one thing that does worry me from an England perspective is Scotland v England is like the old formulas we've spoken about before. Form goes out the window. Everything goes out the window for that one game. It's man against man on that park, and as we've seen in previous games, it's never going to be far away. England are never going to storm a game against Scotland because of the fight that is in Scotland getting into that game. I think it's a game everybody's looking forward to, and both countries have got something to prove getting into this, because there's been a lot of heat discussion this year, hasn't there, Liam?
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like though, because it's at Wembley and the fact that they're going to have almost near full capacity as well. I don't think there's no away fans, is there? But is there away fans? Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yes, 2,600.
At Wembley, it's not going to be full capacity until the later stages of the
almost near capacity though.
Yeah. It's only 16,000 for the Scotland-England game, but after the 21st of June, which is 3 days after the game, I think the rules change in England, so then they can have nil full capacity. I think that's the case. Or a Scotland fan like myself who's going to London, we'd love to have a ticket in Wembley.
We don't want to ramble on here because we have got 2 more groups to go. But I do feel like Scotland. It will be interesting to see how that England game turns out. But I think we should just move swiftly on to the prediction sides. We've mentioned England so many times. I think they're going to finish top of the group. Croatia second, and very, very positively, I'm going with Scotland third, and they'll get one of the best third place teams either by beating Czech Republic or Croatia, and Czech Republic finish last.
Yep. Yeah.
Robbie, you done a prediction?
As much as I said about England's inexperience and everything, I don't think they'll win every game in the group, but I think they'll still win the group because other teams will take points off each other. I'm going to go Scotland second, just because the form against Czech Republic, we beat them home and away last time, and we've got a pretty positive record. Other than that Craig Levein infamous game, we've got a positive record against them. And against Croatia, we've actually got a really good record against Croatia and haven't really lost much games against them in international competitions. So I think it'll be England, Scotland, then Croatia. We'll get a third best placed team and go through with that. And then Czech Republic will finish fourth. I just think Czech Republic haven't really got players that they probably have, but I don't think that in that group they'll really cause much of a threat.
Yeah, I can agree with you on part. I think getting into major tournaments, you mentioned before, Croatia are always up for it. Croatia always find a way to grind out the victories needed. England will take this group comfortably, as they always do. They've just got too much firepower for the other teams to compete with on a man-to-man basis. But I think Scotland v England will finish. We'll leave that prediction actually for the Scotland preview, so you can keep a lookout for the Scotland preview that we're going to do next week, and I'll tell you my prediction for that game anyway. But Scotland will finish third, I feel, because of Croatia's winning mentality when it comes to World Cups. Obviously getting to the final, and then Euros as well. They always seem to do well. So I think Croatia will finish second, Scotland will finish third, and they will get a place to go through. Scotland will do enough, and then Czech Republic I just don't feel have enough in their locker to keep up. So I think they will finish fourth. Would you agree with that?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it's positive. We've all put Scotland to go through, so here's hoping.
We can't say they're not going to go through. That would be not constant getting into the. Don't want to be unconstant getting into the first major final in over 20 years. So it's coming home.
Here's hoping.
So for the next one is Group E. We have former champions Spain, 2008 champions Spain, Sweden, Poland and Slovakia. This is going to be a very interesting group because obviously you've got Spain, who are kind of in a transition period at the moment. They are getting rid of all the old deadwood. A very interesting selection there was, leaving out quite a few players and bringing in some debutants for this major tournament. Sweden were kind of relying on Zlatan Ibrahimovic coming back. He's not going to be coming back now, so that's kind of a shock for them. It's how they'll work around that is the plan for me. Poland, starred by the return of Robert Lewandowski, and Slovakia, who they've got many players, haven't they? I think Marek Hamšík's coming towards the end of his career. Don't think he's taking the limelight, but Slovakia are very similar to Scotland, where they all kind of work together, and they do seem to grind out victories, don't they, Slovakia? They always seem to be there or thereabouts, don't they?
Yeah. You mentioned Sweden relying on Zlatan there, and I just thought I'd point out quickly, they did get to the quarterfinals of the World Cup, without Zlatan. So I get where you're coming from, but I feel like, go back to Slovakia quickly, yeah, you're right. The guy, correct me if I'm wrong, but did they get to the knockout stages in 2016? They might have got a better place team.
I feel like they did.
Because they were in England and Wales's group, and I think they got third place in their group. And It could be interesting, this group, but I feel like the winners of the group is almost set in stone, really. Not exactly, but I feel like Spain, they'll always get the group stage just sewn up. It's when they get to the knockout stage that they start to get a bit dodgy, you know. But Spain, although they have left out a lot of interesting players, the likes of Sergio Ramos, they will go through in this group. They've got enough quality to get through in the group at least, I think. Second and third place could be interesting. Like you said, Zlatan missing could be a factor, but I think personally it won't, because they've proven before that they don't need him as much as they did, because they did get to like they said, I thought they were relatively unlucky to get knocked out in the quarterfinals by England in 2018, because they were a decent opposition. But it all depends on whether Lewandowski is fully match fit for Poland, because if he is, he'll take them through second place, in my opinion, and it'll be close between Sweden and Slovakia for that third and fourth spot, but I have got Sweden going through as one of the best third place teams as well.
No worries at all. Robbie, what is your predictions for the second last group, Group E?
I find it just so it's tough. So I find it a group it's really tough to call. I think it's a big surprise. No Real Madrid players in the Spain squad for the start. A big transitional period, as you say. You still would expect them to win the group, but you just never know. As you say, with major tournaments, I think Spain will win the group. Sweden, Poland, and Slovakia, that's the ones I can't get my head around in terms of, Lewandowski, even though he'll get goals, but is he going to be fit for Poland? And as you say, Sweden, Victor Lindelof, will he keep the clean sheets and get them up from the back? But I honestly think,
No chance.
I think a team like Slovakia, I'm honestly going to go with, I'm going to go with Slovakia to finish second. I'm not entirely sure why, but I think Martin Dubravka is going to be goalie of the group stages. He's got to just keep, have a World Cup. Like, you get goalkeepers like that who put themselves on the map and get noticed to get a big move from a major tournament. So I think Slovakia will finish second, and I think Poland will finish third and get one of the best placed teams if Lewandowski is fit. And Sweden, I just don't see Sweden really doing much. They still got guys like Seb Larsson in their squad, who's been around forever, and I think they just don't really have the quality. But then again, you just never know, because as Liam says, they've done well at a previous tournament without Ibrahimovic.
Yeah. For that group, I have went with Poland to finish first. That is relying on Lewandowski obviously coming back. If he doesn't, then I think Poland will get something to worry about. Unbelievable striker. I think we can all agree on that. Robbed of the Ballon d'Or last year. So we'll wait and see what happens in regards to that. For second place, I've went with Spain. I just don't think Spain have enough experience to finish first. I think there's a lot of youth in the new squad, and it will take time to bond. So that's why I feel Poland will finish first over Spain. Third place, I went with Slovakia to go through. Slovakia, as I said, they always seem to grind it out, and I think it'll be on the last game they will grind out a victory. It'll be very close, but they'll grind out a victory and they will manage to qualify on a points per game basis. And last place, as you said, Robbie, Sweden, they just don't seem to have enough firepower, I think, and they're another team who are on the downward spiral. They have got quite a few youth players coming through, and it could be a game, it could be a tournament for some players to break through, but as of now, I've not seen any of that, so we will wait and see. But Sweden, yeah, I feel they will finish fourth from what I have seen in recent games. Would you agree?
I mean, I would give a bit more hope to Sweden, but I can see why you would say they would finish bottom.
Yeah, 100%. For the last group, we have Portugal. See, to be honest with you, I think this has to be the best group out of them all. This group is an absolute stormer.
Group of death.
It scares me, to be honest with you, doesn't it? I think it will scare everybody. Portugal, who are one of the favourites. France, who are one of the favourites. Germany, who are one of the favourites, and Hungary. I'm actually starving, to be honest with you. I'm going to get something to eat after this.
They'll be hungry for success.
Hungry to win that group, I take it.
I think we can speak. I don't know. I don't speak for everyone here, but I feel like all of us have put down one of these three teams as one of our favourites to actually go on and win the tournament. I don't speak for all of these, obviously, but I have actually said Portugal will go on to win the tournament because I feel like their squad is scary. It is scary. Also, France are the world champions, of course, and that'll be interesting as well. But for me, you talk about how the best third place teams go through. These big teams are playing each other, and remember as well, goal difference could be so crucial. So imagine this: France and Portugal beat Germany. Germany beat Hungary, but imagine if they lost 2-0 both to Portugal and France. That could see them knocked out, even if they were to beat Hungary, because the goal difference swing could see them actually fade away from it. But I do see those three teams going through. You could almost put like any one of them in first, second, or third, really, because all three of them should go through because they should all be beating Hungary quite comfortably. No offense to Hungary, but they're almost in there for the vibes almost because they're going to get absolutely destroyed in this group. For me personally, France will win this group. I feel like they've got enough to win the group anyway. But this is an absolute toss-up. Any one of these three teams could have won the group. Portugal all almost seem like you remember in Euro 2016 they never actually won a game in 90 minutes until the semi-final, and yet they went on to win the tournament. And it is interesting. It is scary, and I feel like in the group stages they don't really show their true colours, but when they get to the knockout stages they just click, you know. And I just feel I've got Portugal finishing second and Germany finishing third. It can be seen as controversial, but again, that could swing any way. You could see Germany finishing first, Portugal finishing first, Portugal finishing third, whatever. But I do think one of these three teams will go on to win the tournament. And funnily enough, I've got Mbappe finishing as my best player of the tournament because it could be his tournament to shine, and obviously he might be looking for a move elsewhere. We don't know that. And I've also got Pogba as my player to watch as well because he might be angling for a move as well if Man United don't sort their shit out. But France first, Portugal second, and Germany third, and Hungary finishing very rock bottom.
The two players you've just mentioned there, Pogba and Mbappe, personally I feel they will be away this summer. I think Mbappe will go to Real Madrid because he's grown up a Real Madrid fan. He's obviously idolised Ronaldo. I think there's something in the books there for him to join Real Madrid, especially after PSG not making the Champions League again. It depends on obviously contract offers and stuff. I know he still has got a long running contract with PSG, but I think I don't know. There's something there with Real Madrid that just does it for Mbappe for me.
His contract is actually up at the end of next season. Now that you mentioned his contract there, I think for no club can almost afford Mbappe. He's going to cost in the region of about £150 million, if that as well. And Real Madrid are in so much financial turmoil right now. At this point, staying at PSG is probably Mbappe's best bet.
Talk about Real Madrid and finances. We'll not get into politics, but I think Real Madrid can afford anybody from the handshakes with the Spanish government.
I think
as we've seen.
Sorry to interrupt you again, but I feel like during this climate with COVID, every club around the world is going to struggle, and even with the insiders with the Spanish government, there's going to be problems for all clubs. But let's rattle on here. We're rambling a little bit.
Yep. So, Robbie, would you like to do your prediction? Then I'll round off for Group F, the final group.
Yeah. So for the final group of death, I've got to go with my group winners and eventual tournament winners, Germany, as I've got the top on. I just think Germany, they've got some, the midfield is made up with Bayern Munich players like Kimmich, Goretzka, got Gnabry, Toni Kroos, who plays for Real Madrid now, but I think they've just got such great players throughout the team. A reliable goalkeeper, Manuel Neuer, who still to me is the best goalkeeper in the world. And then Kai Havertz, Timo Werner, Thomas Müller up top. Werner and Havertz have had the critics this season for Chelsea, but I feel like the two top strikers, Havertz getting the winning goal against Man City in Champions League final. Now, just think Germany, I just honestly think they can blow the teams out of the water, even Portugal and France, and this might be controversial. We think it'd be close games, but I think Germany...
This is going to be, sorry to interrupt, this is going to be very vital for Werner, because we've seen what he done for RB Leipzig. He done it at the very top of his game. He got RB Leipzig into the semi-finals of the Champions League, got his move, £60 million move to Chelsea. From that, he's not really done much for Chelsea. We've seen Havertz move on, and we've seen Havertz continue to improve and impress. If Werner turns up in this tournament, that could be massive for him in his form at Chelsea. But if he doesn't, it could be detrimental, to say the least, because we see how good Havertz is and how much he's improving, and obviously getting the win in the Champions League final, that's only going to make you double the player that you already were.
Yeah, 100%. And I feel like he's just a confidence-based player. And if he does get a few goals in the tournament, Timo Werner, I think he'll kick on from that. But yeah, I just think Germany, with the whole team, they've got like Rudiger and Emre Can, Hummels and all that in the back. I just think they're a well-rounded team. So I'll put them first. I think France...
Team Old Granders.
I think France will finish second. We all know about France. We mentioned Kylian Mbappe, Paul Pogba. We've got Karim Benzema. We've got some great players. France for second. Portugal third. They'll get best placed team. Portugal have got some great players like Ronaldo, as we know. They won the last Euros with Eder scoring the winner, I think. So they'll finish third. And Hungary, no offense to them, but they are kind of there to make up the numbers. I can't see them picking up much or if any points.
Yeah, excellent. I've went with France for first. I think France will be the eventual winners. The attacking firepower was just far too much. They possess just world-class talent. When you've got a player in the form that Giroud's in, and the fact that he is on the bench, you've got Benzema back in, you've got Mbappe, you've got...
Blair, I don't mean to interrupt you again, but I don't think Giroud's in the squad.
Are you sure?
I think so. Right. I can double check for you, but
he's
swear
he's in the squad.
I'm just a fanny then. keep going, come on.
So what I was saying, Liam, is I think with the form that Giroud's in and how good he's been recently, to have him on the bench, have Benzema, have Griezmann, have Mbappe, it's just too much for teams. It's remarkable, because you're going to have Giroud coming on as a sub. I think it's too much. They'll take first place. I think Portugal will take second place. Germany third, but Germany will go through, because we know the power that both teams have. Both of you have just said that. And Hungary, they've got no chance. They're finishing fourth. But if Hungary can get a result out of any of the teams, maybe even an upset on Germany, I think that would be excellent. So, boys, it's been an absolute pleasure. I really do look forward to this tournament. I'm absolutely buzzing. I don't know about you, but what we can say is let's hope for the best. Please have a look out for our preview next week for Scotland's campaign, Bonnie Scotland, and subscribe. Do not forget to subscribe and click that like button. Thank you very much for joining us, and wait till next week, because we have got an absolute belter. BSR Sports will be covering the Euros this year, so wait for it. And until then, say goodbye from me.
God bless.
Goodbye from me.